Fan, det var kaldt der.
Slavat? Ja, det var kjempegodt. The lighthouse and radio were serviced by the Technical Royal Air Force soldiers. They worked on one of the first radar stations that scanned the waters and the air south of the Faroe Islands. This is the southernmost point in the Faroe Islands, Akraberg, where we are right now. This binocular here is of course for bird watching, but also for watching some skerries that are about 2.9 sea miles from where we are standing right now. The island of Suðuroy is particularly or has the most skerries and cliffs around the island, more than any other island. Annars ser man uppe. And the skerries over there called Flesjonar. What they through that thing. Of 5 rocks, one of them is called Sumbjörnsstofnir or Munkur. Ah, yeah, shame. Hello, remote travelers. Welcome to this virtual tour of the Faroe Islands. My name is Sarah, and I will be your tour guide today. And with me here as technical support is my coworker Alta. We both work with Visit Faroe Islands. And in the studio, we also have staff from Visit Faroe Islands. This will be our last remote tour, and what better way than to end it at the southernmost tip of the Faroe Islands, the uninhabited Akraberg on the island of Suðuroy. When the travel bans began to escalate because of the coronavirus epidemic, we sat and wondered how we could recreate a Faroe Islands experience for those of you who had to cancel or postpone their trip to the Faroe Islands, and also for all of you who were stuck at home these days. The result was our remote tourism concept, and it has been a pleasure to have you with us on this journey. We have traveled around the islands these past few months, from the small villages to historical sites. We have traveled by boat, on a horse, and we even jumped on a helicopter. In the beginning of our journey, we visited Viaroyet, the northernmost settlement in the Faroe Islands. So what better place to end than here in Akraberg, the southernmost tip of the Faroe Islands. This place is, however, uninhabited.
And you cannot see it.
Yeah, and you cannot see it anymore. It disappeared. It was right here.
Det går akkurat.
Ja. And we have just been watching the fog in the binocular. It's beautiful fog. Yes. Oh my goodness. Ja, das funkar. Oj!
Mega mycket. Power person.
Super fyttur, gott nok kjæst med matta i. Nei, jeg er ikke forresten på den. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Vi takler det. Hello, all remote travelers, and welcome to this virtual tour of the Faroe Islands. My name is Sara, and I will be your tour guide today. And with me here as technical support is my coworker and friend Alta, and we both work with Visit Faroe Islands. This will be our last remote tour, and what better way than to end it at the southernmost tip of the Faroe Islands, the uninhabited Akraberg on the island of Suðuroy. When the travel bans began to escalate because of the coronavirus epidemic, we sat and wondered how we could recreate a Faroe Islands experience for those of you who had to cancel or postpone their trip to the Faroe Islands, and also for all of you who are stuck at home these days. The result was our remote tourism concept, and it has been a pleasure to have you with us on this journey. We have traveled around the islands these past few months, from the small villages to historical sites. We have traveled by boat, on a horse, and we even jumped on a helicopter. In the beginning of our journey, we visited Viaroya, the northernmost settlement in the Faroe Islands. So, what better place than to end here in Akraberg, the southernmost tip of the Faroe Islands? Of course, today, as you can see, we were surprised by the sudden fog. I can see it's a bit unclear still. Turning left, left, running. All right, let's start with running. Let me just open the gate first. And we'll run. Although we have to be careful because this is quite a tricky path right here because of all the small rocks. Or they're quite big actually. So like I said, we are right now on Akraberg. It's a very popular spot because of the beautiful view that you get from here. And where we just were, there's also a binocular where you can do some bird watching. There are some beautiful bird cliffs around. One is on that side. But most of all, you have a beautiful view of the charming little lighthouse. Although we didn't see that yet, but we'll see it later on probably if you lead me there. Turning left, forward. So during Second World War, the lighthouse and radio were serviced by the technical Royal Air Force soldiers. They worked on it as the first radar station that scanned the waters and air south of the Faroe Islands. And they also built these buildings that you can see right here. These are from Second World War. This place right here is very easily, it's very accessible by car. You can drive all the way up to this place. Turning left. Left once more. Turning right. Jumping. I think you want to go into the into the house. I'm not sure what it looks like in here, but we can check. I think it's maybe not the most beautiful house right now. It looks like it's just left for destruction right now. Maybe you'd like to go back outside. I'm not sure who this house belongs to. Yes, let's go forward. Then we'll be walking down towards the lighthouse. Going forward, but first there's a beautiful lamb. Say hello. You can probably hear the birds. When you're walking around here, you just hear a lot of different birds singing, and you see all the small lambs and the sheep, and you hear them. It's a very charming atmosphere here. And what you're seeing right ahead of us here, I don't know if you can see it because of the turning right. You couldn't really see it because of the fog, but what it is actually a very impressive peat land right over there. You can see mounds of peat. Going forward. And the peat cuttings are from various age. Some of them, maybe the newest ones from 1950s, but then also probably many of them are from centuries back. If you ask me to turn to the right here, or we can turn to the left. To my right was the road down to the lighthouse. And for those of you who might not be so familiar with peat, it's what we used to use for fire. So I guess what you would compare it to the most would be coal. Because in the Faroe Islands, we don't have naturally grown trees. So we used peat for fire. But the wood that we did have was turning left, was driftwood. Driftwood was, of course, very valuable to us. And it used to be like, turning right, You want me to go in to the house? Okay. Um, sure. We can go inside. And again, I'm not really, it's probably not the most beautiful sight to see right now. But I believe this as well is one of the buildings um, that was built during Second World War. Turning left. It was built by British soldiers. The Faroe Islands were occupied by the British during Second World War. Turning right. Forward. And a fun fact that is relevant to that is that it was actually the British soldiers or the British Army that built our airport that we're using today. Of course, it has been reconstructed um, and new buildings and stuff, but they actually built it in the first place. This road that we're walking on right now is the road leading down to the lighthouse. Yes, let's run. The house that you see right there, they are building it into, they are making it into a museum. Mostly a bird museum, I believe. Is it a bird museum? Ah, yeah. So bird and history. We're jumping. So for any of you bird watchers out there, this is the island, the southernmost island in the Faroe Islands, which is the one that we're on right now. It's called Suðuroy, which means South Island. It's definitely a spot to visit if you're interested in um, the birds. It's very rich in bird life. We have 110 different bird species in the Faroe Islands, and a lot of those species are here on this island. This is, by the way, the third largest island in the Faroe Islands. Going forward, but people also consider it the most remote island. It is the most remote island, but you have easy access because um, the ferry sails all through the day, but it takes 2 hours from the capital. As you can probably see, we're getting nearer to the lighthouse. And we're jumping. The lighthouse and the houses around it were built in 1909, and it is currently uninhabited. The last people that lived here was the lighthouse keeper. His name is Hans-Peter Trepo, and his family. But they moved away after a hurricane storm in 1988. Turning left, this place is pretty exposed, or can be pretty exposed in bad weather conditions. I don't know if you can hear the wind, but there's just a light breeze today. I believe that it's about 12 degrees Celsius outside. And earlier today, it was very clear here, so we were quite surprised by the sudden fog. but fortunately it still looks beautiful and we can still see the lighthouse. Running. I actually think that on my right here is also a good lookout point, right there. Um, okay, so we can't run right here because we want to stay on the path. But if you want me to go to the lighthouse, oh, we can't go this way. All right, there is actually a small path here. Sorry, it's just not very. It's a discreet path. I don't know if you can see it. Let's run. So the lighthouse now is automatic, but of course it needs attendance from time to time, and it is still the same gatekeeper, Hans Peter Cherbo, who takes care of it. He was actually here today, and we luckily got to have a chat with him. And we're running. And he told us that he could open the lighthouse for us, which is really cool, so we can go inside. Going backwards. Jumping. Jumping again. Sorry. This way. Going in circle. I'm getting dizzy. We're turning right. Yes. Okay. For the sake of all the viewers, I don't want them to get all dizzy, so I'm just gonna start heading forward here. I told you just a few moments ago about that there was a hurricane storm here in 1988, and after that the lighthouse keeper and his family left this place. And it's very common in the Faroe Islands in the season of the year that we get a lot of storms or hurricanes. And I think maybe that the houses, or I know that the houses are turning left. The houses are built so that they can withstand strong winds. And they just told me, the lighthouse keeper and his son, that this house right here was built is very strong to withstand really rough weather. And I think that's very common for most houses in the Faroe Islands. And the storm that was in 1988 is known for having done the most devastation to the houses since then. So always when we get those kind of storms in the Faroe Islands, I always ask my parents, or if it was as bad as the storm back in 1988. Huh? Ah, okay. Okay, so we went too far. I'm just gonna go back. We're going forward. Just a moment. We're just gonna climb over right here. Maybe not. Yes, now I can go forward. So that was just a little bit about the weather and climate here in the Faroe Islands. But oh yeah, but the weather here is actually not as cold as many people think. Our average temperature in the winter time is 3 degrees Celsius, and then in the summertime, actually we cannot run right here because we are just reaching the end of lambing season, and the sheep get easily scared during lambing season, so we can't run right here around the sheep. And like I said, then in the summertime, the average temperature is 12 degrees Celsius. And I can't jump or run near the sheep because they get easily scared. Turn right. So let's go forward. Can't go any further than this, actually. So we can turn to the left. Like I said, this lighthouse was built in 1909. It is 14 meters tall, and the focal point is 94 meters above sea level. And I can see that the door is open for us. So we can go inside if you want. Turn left. Turn right. Yes, let's go forward. These stairs are actually quite tricky when you only have one hand. Just give me a moment. Yes. We're almost at the top. It's a window right here. Going forward. And we've reached the top. Ooh. Can we actually go outside? Just give me a second. Yes, we can. This is what it looks on the inside. Then I'm turning left, like you said, I'm going out. Here you can see the settlement. This settlement is uninhabited, and we can jump because there's a fence. Yeah, I think we just lost connection with you guys, but it looks like it's all right now. But maybe we can't walk all around because I'll probably lose connection. But I think it's okay now. Here you have a stunning view of Akraberg. Turning right. Maybe we can try to go forward, but I'll go back if the connection gets lost again. Here we have a stunning panoramic view of the North Atlantic Ocean. And we're jumping. There we go. There's a legend about a Frisian people having settled here in the year 1040, and turning left, and they lived here all the way until 1350s, when most of them died because of the Black Death pandemic back then. I think there was only one family who survived of the Frisian people, and they are said to have moved to the village closest to this place, which is called Sumpa. Sumpa is the southernmost village in the Faroe Islands. And the Frisian people are a German ethnic group indigenous to the coastal parts of the Netherlands and northwestern Germany. They appear in many fairies, legends, and songs, folk tales. Right. I don't think we can run in here. Hey, Alda. They want us to run. Okay. It's very difficult to take directions in here, I'm sorry. And we can jump. Okay, maybe we should go back down. Would you like me to go back downstairs? Then we can go outside and have a closer look at different things. Okay, you want me to run? I can't. Unfortunately, I won't be able to run, so I'm just going to walk slowly down this. Backwards. Would you like me to go back up? Is that it? Forward this way. Okay, I think it's okay. We can go back up. For sure we can. And now you want me to go backboard. All right. Let me just communicate something with my coworker here. Você categoria? Sure. Yeah. All right. I think we're just. It really is beautiful, stunning surrounding here to be seen on the southernmost point of the Faroe Islands. Just to share some, would you look at that? If you're afraid of heights, maybe this is not the best idea. I will be able to take your directions again once we're on the ground. Almost at the bottom. All right. We have a lot of lighthouses around the Faroe Islands, but I think we have four favorites that people always love to go to. This is definitely one of those. And say you wanted to get here, and let's say you're in the airport, and um, and you didn't have your own car. Let's just say that. Then you would be able to take the bus, the public transport from the airport. It takes about 45 minutes to the capital, and then right there at the central station in the capital, you'd be able to get the ferry straight from there to the island of Solrøy. But I would highly recommend that if you have plans to come and visit Solrøy, then I would recommend maybe hiring a car or renting a car, because then you'll easily get around the islands and see the many things that the island has to offer. Turning left. On this island, there are about 13 different towns and villages. And what's very special about this island is that it just really stands out from the rest of the Faroe Islands. The landscape looks different, and it's a popular spot for geologists to come and check out, because you can see because you can see that the basalt here is quite different. It consists a lot of basalt in columns, and this is also the only island in the Faroe Islands that has coal mines, of which one of them is still active today. Running just a little bit. We have to be careful when we're close to the sheep, because they tend to get easily scared when it's lambing season, and we're not quite out of lambing season yet. You can go a little bit closer. I don't want to scare them, so we're not going to go too close. Yes, great idea. Let's turn left and get another look at this beautiful view right here. Very close to this place is also the second highest bird cliff in the Faroe Islands. It's called Bærnessvør. It's definitely worth a visit. Doch, ik kan spelen adesso, vedere che sei contento. Guarda. Going forward right here. We're going forward. And so my coworker just told me that we have about 30 minutes left of this tour. And we actually planned on starting in another point than we did, but because of the sudden fog, we had to last minute relocate. And so we wanted to ask you guys if you wanted to maybe go to the southernmost village, which is still inhabited, and then we could show you around that village if you want. So I would just put the question out there, and if you're on our live stream on Facebook, then please feel free to tell us your opinion of that. Just gonna go out of this fence right here, turning left. Going forward. Here on the island of Suray, the reason why I would love to show you the other village as well is because I don't want you to think that or have this as your only image of the South Island, although this is a beautiful, beautiful part of the South Island. The South Island, like I said, is the third largest. It has a lot to offer. You'll see and meet a lot of people on this island. They have many different activities that you don't get anywhere else in the Faroe Islands, many outdoor activities such as kayaking, climbing, rock climbing or bouldering, ziplining, rappelling, cliff jumping as well. There's something called Outdoor Faroe Islands. They do those types of activities with groups of people. Turning right. And right now, what we're facing right here is a motif that is on most pictures that are taken in this place. This house right here. You can go closer. On the island of Sura is also one of the best venues in the Faroe Islands. It's called Salt because it used to be a salt silo. And people say it has the best sound of all the venues in the Faroe Islands. I don't know if everyone agrees with that, but many people think that. Turning right. Yeah. Yeah. Super. Okay, so my coworker, she's just gonna go get the car, and then we're gonna, the last couple of minutes, go head to the village that is very close to where we are right now, the southernmost village. It's called Sumpa. Then we can have a walk around the village. It's a really nice village as well. Turning left. You can probably see my coworker up there. She's walking, getting our car. Yes, great idea. Let's follow along. We were actually planning on starting this side, but as you can see, it's full of fog. We're running. where it's covered with fog. And but if you come and visit this place, I would definitely recommend going up there as well. There you'll get a beautiful view of just how different the landscape looks here on this island. Even for Faroese people that are not used to visiting this island, it's very... I'm just gonna go across here. Give me a moment. Then we can run. Let's run. Jumping. Should we go to this lookout point? I don't think we got to do it before. Running. Going forward. There we are. So I can't run right here because, as you can see, I'm right at the edge. Let's jump. And we're jumping. You can probably tell that there's a lot of sheep around. And we have about 70,000 sheep in the Faroe Islands, which is a lot more than the total number of people, which is 52,000 people. Going forward. And like I was telling you, or was trying to tell you earlier, is that Faroese people, they love to come to this island as well. Those who are not so familiar with, let's run. Those who are not so familiar or don't travel here usually, when they come here, it's kind of like coming to a new country, at least for me personally, because the landscape is different. You'll meet people that you haven't met before, and the houses look different. Let's jump. And they even have a different accent, a very different accent actually. But of course, it's still Faroese, so I don't have trouble understanding them. But it's just a very nice, different experience to come here. And I think now, especially because of the corona, people have been traveling more in their own country. And I think this has become a very popular spot for the Faroese people. At least for this summer, I know that there are many, many houses booked by Faroese people. Turning right. And one thing that I would recommend, if you don't have so much time in the Faroe Islands, but you'd like to come to Suðuroy, you can definitely do a one-day trip. But then I would definitely recommend having a car so you can drive around, kind of make your own pace. And what me and my coworker are doing today is that we will, let's run. We will be spending the night actually in the ferry. So you have that option. And so after we've been here for the entire day, we spend the night in the ferry, and then when we wake up tomorrow, we'll already be in the capital. So if you don't have that much time in the Faroe Islands, I would recommend just putting a day trip to Suðuroy into your schedule. You will not be disappointed. There are so many nice cafes around as well. While you're here, we went to a lovely place called Glassovan today. I think it's a quite new cafe. The food was really nice, and The place was really nice and cozy. There we are. Okay, so now I won't be able to take your instructions because we're gonna go and drive to Sumpa, which is the southernmost settlement in the island of Surai, which is inhabited, unlike Akraberg where we just were. So for just a few minutes, I won't be able to take your directions. I can open the window, maybe, then we can still get the nature. Oh. So this was quite spontaneous. We didn't plan uh, on driving to Sumba, but I'm happy that we're doing that because I think it'll be really nice to maybe get a little bit out of the fog and then seeing some houses and maybe even some people. Although we never showed the people on the camera, but maybe we'll still feel the atmosphere of people. Something else that you can do here in Sura is boating. You can go on sailboat tours. You can also um, go on maybe more individual boat tours. And if you'd like to know more about that, I would recommend you get in contact with our coworkers at Visit Surøy. They will definitely be able to help you with that. And I think that seeing the Faroe Islands by boat definitely gives you a different perspective, and you really get a stunning view from the ocean. And even I've lived here my entire life. I get really surprised of what it looks like in a boat. And I think especially if you're interested in birds, and bird watching would probably be best to do by boat. And also there are many options if you like to go fishing and whatnot. I know that boat.fo, he does boat tours in the traditional Faroese boat, and I know he takes people fishing as well. And even if you rent your own boat, which is also possible while you're here, you could always ask the locals about good fishing grounds. And now we are seeing Sumpa. Here live about 360 people in Sumpa. Yeah, I'm just gonna ask my coworker how much time we have left. Just give me a second. All right, I'm back now. I'm very sorry about that. We just had to take care of something. But now we're back and we're heading towards the village of Sumpa. Like I said, it is the southernmost village in the Faroe Islands. And it is a very old habitation. It's one of the oldest in the Faroe Islands. It's from the 1200s. I can show you to the left here. And here we are probably looking at a very old rock layered, maybe a sheepfold. This is probably a sheepfold. Yes, we'll turn to the right. What you can see over there, I'm not sure if you would call that a skerry, but there are many skerries around this island. This island has more skerries and cliffs than any other islands in the Faroe Islands. I think they have about 260, which is a lot. So it can be quite tricky to sail around the southern island. And I was talking about boating earlier. So if you're a experienced sailor, I would still ask people before sailing around this island because there are many skerries around. Yes, let's run to get to the a little bit closer to the village. It looks so beautiful and green right now. I love it in this time of the year. Everything is so beautiful and green. I mean, it looks really good in the winter as well when it's white and covered in snow. I'm not sure which one I prefer above the other, but I really, really love in the summertime when everything is just lush and green like this. Let's run. The village of Sumba is in a green energy project. The old football field has been filled with solar panels. Going forward. And if it goes as planned, it will provide 20% of the electricity in the entire village. We're running. Jumping. We have about 10 minutes left of this tour. It feels so strange that this is the very last remote tour. It's bittersweet, really. I mean, it has definitely been a pleasure to do these tours, but it's also good to know that we won't need it as much now because the COVID-19 situation that we're all in has improved internationally, but also here in the Faroe Islands, it is pretty much cleared. Turning left and running, but but although it is getting a lot better quickly, we still are not haven't opened up our country for everyone to come in without self-quarantining. We are still only open to a few select countries. And if you'd like to have more information about that, you can go on to our website, visitfaroeislands.com. And we can run. Yes. We're running. My coworker is way behind me. But we can go on ahead. I don't know if you can hear this, but you can hear people talking and laughing. You can hear some kids are playing outside. running. One famous person who was born here, his name is Paul F. Johansson. He's a Faroese poet. He died in 1970. He is one of the most famous Faroese poets. He was born and grew up here. We're running and we're jumping and we're running. We're getting a workout done, which is great. Turning right, stepping aside for the cars, forward and running. Turning right. Oh, look at my coworker. She's running towards us. I'm walking forward. We're getting into the village. We're running. I just met some lovely ladies, but as you all, or those of you who have been watching our previous tours, of course, when we meet people, we need their permission before we put the camera on them. So I always turn the camera to respect their privacy. I'm sure you understand. And we're running. Excavations have actually shown traces of a settlement here from the 17th century. So that's really, really impressive. The church in this village is from 1887. Turning left. And me and my coworker were talking about earlier about this village that we really like, that it's a very, very colorful village. The houses have, and also the roofs of the houses have very different colors. And so when you look at it from above the village, it looks really, really beautiful and different from other villages. Going forward. Going forward. I'm gonna let you enjoy a little bit in silence before we reach closer to the end of the tour. We're jumping. There we go. I just wanted you to just get the sound of this village. You can hear a lot of birds and you can hear a lot of life in this village. I hope you can hear it through the microphone. And we're jumping. So like I said, this will be our very last remote tour. And hey. Jo? Oi, vill du vinka till henne? Fick vi? Cool. Allt läge? Oh ja. Och de carry? Okay. Cool. Tack för det. Oh, we just met a guy and he told us that a woman named Carrie, she had texted him to see if he was watching. So that was quite fun. He got to say hello to Carrie, one of our viewers. Anyways, I want to, from me, Sarah, and my coworker Alta, and the entire staff at Visit Faroe Islands, thank everyone who has been watching these virtual tours. And we want to give a personal thanks to everyone who has given us so much feedback. Thank you for all your emails and your kind words. It has really warmed all of our hearts, and it has really been a pleasure showing you around. And we naturally really hope that this has inspired all of you to come and visit in person once when travel is safe again. And I hope that all of you. Oh, we can turn the camera. This is Sarah and Alda. I've been your tour guide, and Alda has been technical support. And until we see you here in person, all the best. Stay safe, everyone. Bye.